Hello there guys, and welcome to part 1 of my idea for a Power Ranger adaptation of Uchu Sentai Kyuranger. In this little series of videos, I'm going to be telling you about my idea for how a potential adaptation of Kyuranger could go. Now, I know that there are going to be some people that are going to say, oh, this is not likely to happen, or that's not likely to happen, and you're probably right. They may not happen, but this is just an idea that I have. I'm not saying it's going to be the one that actually happens in the Kyuranger adaptation when it finally happens, but this is just my idea of how it could go. So with that said, let's continue on. Before we begin, I would like to point out that I am currently working on a campaign in hopefully getting Uchu Sentai Kyuranger adapted for the 30th season of Power Rangers. We got to have this be adapted as a series. I am not going to give up until such an adaptation finally comes out. So if you want to help in getting Kyuranger adapted, I would highly suggest that you write a letter to Hasbro if you haven't already. And go ahead and enjoy this little potential idea that I have for what the Kyuranger adaptation could be. So I'm thinking that the series could probably start out at a space academy. And over in the space academy, we are introduced to the first 3 Rangers of the series. We have the Red Ranger, we have the Green Ranger, and we have the Yellow Ranger. Now, of course, none of them are Rangers yet, since this is the start of the story, because you know how the story of Power Rangers usually starts, where we are introduced to the Ranger team, but they don't become Rangers yet. Although some of them, of course, have already become Rangers, and in this idea that I have, some of them already have become Rangers, but at this point in the story, we have 3 characters who aren't Rangers yet, but they are going to be. So, for the start of the story, we are introduced to the Red, Green, and Yellow Rangers. Red is a very excited person who is attending the Space Academy, and he certainly has a dream of exploring space because he really likes space and all of the different things that could be found out into space. And then the Green Ranger, I'm thinking that she could perhaps be a janitor girl, like maybe some girl that is working at the academy who was given the job of being a janitor, but she was not too happy about getting the job of being a janitor. Now, of course, the whole janitor idea is just something that I have come up with. It is not something that came from the original series from Kyuranger, because in Kyuranger, the Green Ranger was already an active Ranger along with the Yellow and Black Ranger, but in this idea for a Kyuranger adaptation that I have, I'm thinking a little bit differently, because you know how Power Rangers goes with having the story be a bit different from how it was in the Super Sentai series, so I'm just going down in that same direction. But I will point out a couple of ideas that I would like to see kept in the Power Ranger adaptation. But you know, they may happen, they may not happen, who knows. So, with that said, I'm not quite sure how the Red and Green Ranger would probably meet with one another. You know, like maybe they bump into each other, like maybe walking backwards or something, and they just introduce each other and say, hello, I am you, whatever his name's gonna be, and then she says, I'm whatever her name's gonna be. You know, I don't really have any names for any of the characters right now. This is just my idea about how the story is gonna go. So I'm not going to be so concerned about the names right now. It will be interesting to see what the actual names of the characters end up being. I also personally hope that the Red Ranger is named after me. Yeah, that's right. I am thinking that they could name the Red Ranger Eli, because I think it would be fitting. very fitting for there to be a Red Ranger whose powers are based on the lion and be named Eli. I don't know how many people have heard of Eli the Lion. I think I saw it was a book or something. It would certainly make a lot of good sense. At least to me, it would. Okay, so that's the green and yellow, not yellow, green and red Rangers, introduced to the audience. And then the Yellow Ranger works as a cook over at the academy. It is a job that he is good at. And I'm not quite sure as to how he may end up joining the Ranger team. But, maybe he is working as a chef at the Space Academy. And just quite enjoys it. It is a special talent of his. Okay, and then what happens next is that I'm not quite sure if the enemies could probably invade the Space Academy, if that would even work out, like just a bunch of alien invaders just coming into the Space Academy and beginning to attack. I am, of course, talking about the foot soldiers from Kyuranger. Just those foot soldiers just breaking into the Space Academy, and they begin attacking everyone. And then, what happens next is that the Blue and Black Ranger, who are using the same suits, or at least I hope they will use the same suits as what was used in Kyuranger, because I'm pretty sure that when this series finally gets adapted, they will use the same suits as what was used in Kyuranger. Hopefully the suits will last out long enough to be used for such. Hopefully Hasbro doesn't wait too long to adapt this series so that it ends up being unadaptable because the costumes begin falling apart. Although, I think I've seen some people say that they actually rebuilt some of the costumes from Go Busters to be used in Beast Morphers. I think somebody said that the costumes for the B-Spots were rebuilt. But, hopefully the same suits will end up getting used. Although I have seen that there are a couple of full bodysuit costumes in Power Rangers that, are still around and are still usable. With some suits going unused for a long time and then finally getting used. Alright, so anyway, the Blue and Black Ranger come in, not yet morphed, but then they do morph. And this is, of course, very different from the story of Kyuranger, where it starts out as just the Black, Green, and Yellow Ranger, and then Red comes in, not as a Ranger yet, and, he says that he wants to be a Ranger, but he has not gotten the Q-Tama that allows him to become a Ranger, and then we are introduced to the Blue Ranger, who already has his Q-Tama, but he is not morphed into a Ranger yet. And he doesn't become a Ranger until after Red becomes a Ranger. So why he had the Q-Tama before becoming a Ranger... Well, actually, they all get Q-Tamas before becoming Rangers, but why he did not become a Ranger right away, or why he was even chosen to be a Kyuranger, is kind of unknown, because I have seen the Kyuranger episodes, and the Blue Ranger was kind of a bit cowardly at first. Wasn't sure about fighting, so I'm not quite sure as to how the Q-Tama even chose him, if he was not ready to be a Ranger yet. But this story is a bit different, where I am thinking that the Black Ranger was first to be chosen, and then they found the Blue Ranger, who then joins up with the team. Like maybe early on, Black Ranger went to Blue Ranger's home planet, and, they became Rangers together, and they fought against the alien invaders together, much like in the first episode of Kyuranger. That could probably be a good opportunity to use that footage. And it would also really work out since both of the characters are full bodysuit characters, not being played by, well, I'd like to say human actors, but some could argue that all of them are being played by human actors. But what I'm saying is they're not suit actors. Well, actually, they are suit actors, yes, but, you know, both of them are performed by suit actors and not, you know, not actors that are playing human characters. So it would really work out if there was a flashback scene of the Blue and Black Ranger meeting and it was all Sentai footage with them both morphed and demorphed. Alright, so anyway, they get in there, they morph, and they fight against the alien invaders, and then the three human rangers, red, green, and yellow, they then decide to participate and begin fighting against the alien invaders too, and the Blue and Black Ranger are a bit surprised to see humans actually fighting because, of course, neither of them are humans, and they are very surprised to see humans actually fighting against the alien invaders. So, the three of them fight, and then the Kyutamas show up, and the Blue and Black Ranger then give them the Phaser Blasters, or the Morphers, whatever they're going to be called, and then explain to them about what to do. And then the three of them morph, and they are just amazed that they became Rangers. Like, with the Blue and Black Ranger just being amazed to see humans becoming Power Rangers. Because prior to them coming across the three Rangers, they only knew Power Rangers as being aliens or robots. Since the Blue Ranger himself is an alien, and the Black Ranger is a robot. And so this pretty much would be the first instance in which they see humans becoming Rangers, because they have never seen a human become a Power Ranger before. Even though there had been plenty of humans that became Rangers before, but this is the first time they personally witness it. So what then leads up to that is that the three of them are then taken up to the command ship, and they meet with the commander, who will become the Purple Ranger, but has not by this point in the story. As well as also meet with the yet to become the Pink Ranger. And they explain just about everything that they need to know about the Power Rangers in this series. And explain to them about the evil threat that has come out. I'm predicting that they may use a US exclusive villain for the series, much like with Sledge in Dino Charge. Certainly look forward to seeing what they do with that. And then what happens next is that they then get an alert about a monster, and they then go out in their Zords and they form the Megazord and battle against that monster. And of course it would be the battle that we see in the first episode of Kyuranger. Alright, so that pretty much would be where the first episode of the series would end off. Although I'm not going to be doing just one episode per episode, or much rather not doing one episode of the series per episode of this little series that I'm doing. So that's pretty much all that I gotta say about this idea right here. I mean, I only talked about one episode this time, but you know, it's just because that there was a lot to talk about. And I'm not going to be discussing about every episode of the series. I'm only going to be discussing about the story episodes, such as, you know, introducing each of the Rangers and introducing each of the villains. Although I probably will not talk so much about the villains because I have not looked very much into the villains of Kyuranger, so you will need to excuse me if I don't talk very much about the villains, but I will certainly talk about the Orange Ranger and his brother. So that's about all I gotta say for this particular episode. Let's hope that we do get Uchu Sentai Kyuranger adapted into Power Rangers, and for those of you that are not all that interested in seeing Kyuranger get adapted into Power Rangers, or have their doubts that Kyuranger will be adapted into Power Rangers, it's gotta happen. It has to happen, and I am working on a campaign in making sure that that does happen. Kyuranger may have been skipped over for the moment, but if Hasbro could go back to adapt a previously skipped season once, they can do it again. So thank you so much for watching, and please continue to support this campaign, and I will see you again in the next episode.